Hello.
Hello.
We are really, really excited to be welcoming you here for the first ever Airbnb Oscailte. People keep telling me different things. I'm going to stick with Oscailte all day, so I'll be consistent, either rightly or wrongly. So I am here with Alberta.
So normally the girls, we introduce first the ladies, but she was so nervous that she was, do you mind to go first, please? I don't want to be first. So my name is Alberto. I'm from Spain, and you, as you can imagine for my accent, I work for Airbnb. I'm a CX operations manager here in Dublin, and I started working for Airbnb like almost 4 years ago. As you can see up here, that's my listing. I've been a host since 2013, former super host. So at some point I was a super host, but we lost it. So yeah, and now?
We're giving him some host education today, so we're really, really hopeful that the next time the Superhost announcements come out that Alberto will be back on top. But we're not like really confident, so if you guys could give him some of your tips today, I would really, really appreciate this.
Please do that.
Yes. So my name is Sarah Murphy. I work in host and community operations here. I was actually a host before I was an employee here, so I was one of Ireland's, I think, first 50 hosts. I started hosting in 2012 in this beautiful house in Phibsborough. So I've been working with the company for 2 years, and I've been lucky enough to get to meet many of the familiar faces here in the audience here in that time. There are a few of you, you might want to raise your hand, who actually joined us last November in Paris. Does anybody who was with us at Open want to raise your hand? There we are. Yay, it's so good to see you guys here. I want to give you a little bit of credit right now because this is sort of your day. There were 5,000 hosts who gathered in Paris last year along with 750 Airbnb employees. We got a chance to get together with some management from kind of all over the world from Airbnb along with those Irish hosts who were in town with us. And we asked you, what do you want? What can Airbnb do for you? How can we better support you? How can we support the mission of hosting in Ireland? And you were extremely clear. You told us you wanted your own Open. You wanted a chance to get together with your community, to hear about issues that were relevant to you as hosts specifically in Ireland, and to get a chance to get to know the employees who worked here. So today is your idea.
So now I have a question for you. Who remembers their first check-in? Put your hand up. First check-in? Whoa, that's a lot of people. And why do you remember it? Because those nervous of, oh my God, are all the seats very wide and are they working? Will we have enough pillows? Are the bathrooms okay? The kitchen? Wi-Fi? How many problems have we had with the Wi-Fi not working? So this is how we feel today, because today for us, you are our first guests in this office. So this office, we've been here only 3 weeks, and we've tried to keep it kind of like a secret, like no press has come here to see it. We ask our employees to not take pictures, not post pictures on Facebook, etc. Because for us, it was very important that the first guests that we have here with us today, it was you, our hosts. So welcome to the warehouse. Also, now that we are here, this is our first day. You can do whatever you want here, whatever you want, like. But you can take pictures, you can post on social media, etc. We've created this hashtag so you can use it and we can all talk to each other. So please feel free. As you would say to your guest, our home is your home.
So we're about to hand this off to the kind of real speakers, get the MCs out of the way, but very, very quickly, it would be ridiculous of us to not have a quick nod to the amazing space that we're in right now. As Alberto said, the staff have been in here for 3 weeks only, but this building is certainly a lot older than 3 weeks old. So it started its life as the Dublin Ice Company, so you can imagine it's lived a few lives, had a few stories since then. From then it moved on to the Raleigh Bicycle Factory. There's actually a meeting room up there called Raleigh, which is kind of a nod to that piece of its history. It was then derelict for a long time, and there were actually 2 different major fires. And then it was kind of reimagined as a community space for kind of skateboarding and wakeboard type kids for a couple of years, and that was really exciting. It then fell into disuse again, and last, it was reborn as Airbnb Warehouse. Just quick nod to Michelle Kelleher, who oversaw that transition in like 18 months. So fair play to you.
Can you put your hand up, Michelle, and say hi to the people so everyone knows who you are? Guapa. So yeah, now we would like to introduce our global head of CX, customer experience, Aislinn Hassel.
Fáilte, Alberta. Fáilte. Dí gíomh go léir, chun Come on. Well, in honor of it being the Irish version of the Open that we had in Paris, and we call it Oscailte, depending on your pronunciation, I thought we should do an Irish version of the Hosting is Sexy t-shirt. So these are a limited edition. We will be giving some away today. I think we have 8. So stay tuned and tá hosting sexy, Maria, right? All right, so it's great to be here. It's so exciting to see you all. We've, as I said, just moved into this space. But the space is about our community, and you are our community. So it's fantastic that you all took the time out of your busy days. I know weekends are kind of sacrosanct. So thank you for taking the time, wherever you've traveled from, to get here. We do appreciate you coming, and we hope that you have a fantastic day. So just a little bit about myself and how come I'm standing in front of you, I guess. I am a Dubliner. People have a kind of a weird accent, but I do come from Dublin. I'm a North Sider, actually. Yay, North Side. And I didn't grow up breaking into cars or anything, no. But I did, I went to school here and then spent 2 years in Wales at a United World College, which ironically, given the role that I am now, is a schools that are set up around the world to foster world peace through shared education. So I kind of started off on my mission of belonging at a very young stage. Came back here, went through these great doors in Trinity, and did a degree in mechanical engineering, of all things, and a master's in fluid dynamics, which is not at all suitable for my current role, which is fine. But it did teach me the dynamics of pulling a really good pint. And one of the things I did when I was doing my mechanical engineering degree was I took an internship in Guinness Brewery. And so I not only learned how to make a good pint of Guinness, but also how to pour one out of a vat that's probably about 30 feet tall. So that's my kind of background. When I started my career, started actually for 2 US companies. And the second company I worked for was Symantec Corporation, who you might know out in Blanchardstown. And they moved me to the City of Angels. So moved to Los Angeles, where I was supposed to go for a year, the same old story, right? Go for a year, try it out, and I stayed for 15. So 13 of those are with Symantec and 2 were with my own consultancy on customer experience, trying to get companies to think about their customers and do right by their employees. But I really wanted to come back home, and so started trying to think about how I could get back to Ireland, did a little bunny hop to London for a short time, but then finally landed back into my home turf. And that's where Airbnb and my path crossed about 2.5 years ago. Got to know the leadership team there, was intrigued by the mission, frankly, and just thought, what an amazing company to be part of. So I joined and haven't looked back. I was just telling somebody over breakfast, though, even though it's like 2.5 years, they are like dog years here. So I feel like I've been here for 10. I don't know how Alberto feels. He's been here for 4, and we have many tenured employees here that have been even here for longer, like 5 years. So. But it's a great company, it's a great mission, and so it's just great to be here and great to be chatting to you. So that's been my journey. As Alberto said, we're all try and live our brand, and so we do host. So this is my listing. I am on a mission to become a super host, as most of my team know. Unfortunately, I'm not here a lot. I have a global role here. I head up the global CX team, so I'm pretty much go around the whole team globally a lot. So when I'm home, though, I do try and host, and so I can empathize with the 11 p.m. changing of sheets, which I've done after a long day at work and realized I'd forgotten that my guest was arriving the next day. And also, as I said, I'm trying to get more. One of the things was, because I travel, my husband is really understanding, but I had to break the news to him that I did accept a booking from a honeymoon couple that are coming in June. And I'm like, I had all this big plans. I thought, fantastic, with champagne and chocolates and everything. And then I realized I'm actually not going to be here. so I had to break the news to him that not only was he hosting in my absence, but he was also hosting a honeymoon couple, and he had to do all this. So that booking is going to cost me way more than the reservation value, I can tell you that. So that's me. So great to be here. But I want to talk a little bit about now, just kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about the business that we're in. So we are incredibly lucky to be working in a business that is growing phenomenally, right? So this is a graph that shows international tourist arrivals, and what that just shows is the demand for travel globally. So it topped 1.1 billion last year, which is 4.4% growth year on year. So people are traveling, right? People are traveling a lot. Obviously, there's been a few hits in that as we've gone through economic crises, etc. But travel is back. And what that means is for all of us here who are in the hospitality business, it is a great indicator. And they expect that growth to continue this year. So they expect growth to be 4% for 2016. A lot of that will be driven by Europe. So Europe's growth is going to be around 4%. China and the China outbound travel is obviously growing a bit higher, 5 to 6. And America growth is around 4 to 5 as well. So it's really a great time to be in this business. The indicators are really, really great. What does that mean, though, in terms of actually market value? So if you actually just take the tourism part of transportation and travel in general, the tourism alone, which has obviously lots of ancillary market benefits, is about $2.5 trillion worth globally. So it's a massive, massive market. If you add in the transportation part of that, it actually tops around 7.5 trillion. So the great news is we're in a growing business, and the great news is that it's a massive market in terms of the expenditure. I know all of you probably thought, like years ago, a holiday was probably a luxury, right? If you talk to anybody these days, a holiday has now become a necessity. They're all at different levels, but anyone who's doing a budget, and I know lots of my friends have very different ranges of income, they all have at least carve out some of their holiday, and in many cases multiple. So holidays and travel have just become part of who we are as a basically a global nation. But that does come with some downfalls. So unfortunately, through the creation of mass tourism, we do have this sort of problem in modern tourism, is that wherever you go, there's lots and lots of people, and it has become sort of commoditized, right? So wherever you go, whether it's the Louvre, whether it's Dublin Castle, or whether it's the Eiffel Tower in Paris, there's just lines upon lines of people, as you know. And thank God now they build apps so that you can actually pre-book, but it's still just homogenized. And many of you take an open deck bus when you go to a new city. Yeah. And we do, because it's like, oh, I have a few days, I have to see everything, I want to go. We kind of have become, click and go tourists, right? I've got to kind of get in all the sites and then whiz out and move on. And this is an interesting cartoon from the New York Times where it talks about, you see this guy, he's great, he's escaped the madness, he's out in the forest, he's walking up the mountain, he's on his own. Oh, it's walking across this bridge, it's fantastic, I don't have to talk to people. Oh, it is amazing. Gets to the top of the mountain, and somebody has built a cafe at the top, and a tour bus is there with lots and lots of people taking pictures. How many of that happened to you? Yeah? So that is the plague. I mean, the benefit is we can all go. But the issue is that because we've made tourism safe and travel safe and controlled and predetermined, it means that we don't change. There's no transformation element. It's just you go and you come back and you're the same person, and you've just got lots and lots more pictures on your cell phone or your digital camera, right? So where has the transformation gone? And if you think about transformation, just going back to that for a sec, if you think about transformation, you think about the days 300 years ago where all the noblemen used to go on the grand tour, right? And the idea of a grand tour was you would go out, you would explore Europe, you would come back, you would go back out for 3 months or a year, you would learn a new language, you would immerse yourself in the Italian art, you would come back a new and more fulfilled person. That was the promise of travel. Now, it was limited to the rich, right? And that's actually the first mass tourism, would you believe, was Thomas Cook, who actually made Cook's Tour. And that is what started the whole era of modern tourism, which was trying to capture what was the essence of the grand tour and what those lucky individuals got to do as they toured Europe and make it available to the masses. Well, we've succeeded. And if you look at this article in the Daily Mail, you have these tranquil, ideal spots, right? You got this fantastic spot. You look at that, you just want to be sipping an ouzo straight away, right? And looking over that fantastic view. This is Santorini in Greece. The reality is that when you rock up to it, what does it look like? It looks like this. Has anybody ever been to Antigua or Santorini? You guys seen this? Has that happened to you? Yeah? I haven't been to Santorini, but I've been to Antigua. And in Antigua, they basically ship every single tourist on the island to Shirley Heights on a Sunday. If you ever go, you will be offered a tour to Shirley Heights on a Sunday. Do not go. I went with my family. We rocked up and was there. It's a fantastic spot on a Monday, right? It's beautiful, fantastic views. But they put about 5,000 tourists onto a little piece of land. They serve you tepid kind of cocktails and very, very lame sandwiches with pulled pork or something like that, and they have a calypso band. And you're stuck like that, right, wall to wall. It was my vision of hell. So God forgive me, but we actually feigned my son's sickness to persuade the taxi man that we had to go home so we could get the hell out of there. So we've all lived in these tourist hells, and it is a nightmare when you get caught in it. So travel is sick. Travel has become, while it's become accessible, it's actually lost its mojo. And that's what Airbnb wants to fix, right? That's what we're on a mission to make different. And if you look at who travels on Airbnb and you talk to your guests every single day, the reason they travel on Airbnb is because 86% of them want to travel like a local. 64%, by the way, are as stressed by things like that Santorini, happening as they are as to going to the dentist. So it is awful if you're going on holiday and you end up being as stressed going to the dentist. So they want to live like a local. They want to have unique experiences. You might have seen some talk about this from Brian, our CEO, but this is Jim Haynes. He's a guy who lives in Paris, and many years ago, before Airbnb was even thought of, or when we were all living in kind of our own little idyllic worlds, Jim was living in Paris and decided that tourism in Paris had gotten very blah. He just saw everybody going to the monuments, he saw everybody queuing up to the galleries, and he thought, that's not the real Paris. I want to show people the real Paris. So for the last 30 years, he's been hosting strangers in his home for supper on a Sunday evening. He's hosted 150,000 people in his house. And he does it because he says, I really want people to feel the real Paris. I want them to experience living like a local. And he does it really from a philanthropic standpoint. So it's amazing. And that is what these three guys found by accident when they had the good fortune to, I suppose, in one way, meet each other. So this is going, if you go left to right, so it's Joe, Nate, and Brian. There are three founders. And what happened and what was the kernel of starting Airbnb is this is where Brian and Joe live. This is Rouse Street. They still live there. And they were living there flat broke. The guy, the landlord raised the rent. They didn't have enough money to pay the rent. And they said, oh my God, how are we going to make some money? There was a design conference in town. They said, oh, well, maybe we could have some people over. Let's blow up a couple of airbeds. They had three guests, Kat, Michael, and Amal. And they hosted them during the design conference. And after the design conference, what they found, aside from being able to pay the rent, which was fantastic, what they had hit upon was, oh my God, we made such deep connections with them. And by the way, they're still friends. They still go visit each other, and all three still come to HQ quite frequently. And they made that deep connection. They thought, wow, that is really amazing. There's something really special about that. We connected on a much more personal, much deeper level than we ever would have if they'd stayed in a hotel or if we had just met randomly. And they said, well, we're just ordinary guys. If it's great for us, it probably would be great for other people too. And that's what started the whole idea about Airbnb. But it wasn't all plain sailing, right? They had a lot of people to convince. And frankly, most of the investment people they went to try and get some cash to keep it going told them that it was lunacy. Who would stay in each other's houses? I mean, are you crazy? So they knocked on many, many doors. And it was only when they got into Y Combinator eventually, after building kind of there's loads of crazy stories about on the route there that I won't bore you with. But basically, they got into Y Combinator, and that was the catalyst. And really, it took until about 2011 for the business to really kind of feel like it had legs. Okay, it's a two-sided marketplace, as you know, so you have to have enough hosts to have enough guests, and then vice versa, you need to make sure that guests are aware that there is this alternative travel. So if you look at this is actually the light trails of where travelers came from and to, right? And this is the light trails from 2011. So you can see very much a Europe to US kind of business, and not a lot of, if you look at that in 2012, you can see, and 13 and 14, you can just see how this really took off and became a global phenomenon. And if you look at it now, to date, we've had 60 million guests on Airbnb, which is fantastic, right? 60 million local experiences. We're in 34,000 cities. Dublin is the best, of course, no. Ireland is the best. Ireland is the best of the 191 countries. It used to be 190, you might have heard before, but now we added Cuba. So we got Cuba in the mix, which is great. So it's a global phenomenon. And again, that's great, because if people want to travel in the way that we're offering, then we have enough supply and enough opportunity for them to do that. So that is why it's sort of a virtuous cycle. We're very, very fortunate to have a fantastic community like yourselves with 2.2 million homes on the platform. And that's, again, as you all know, a massive range within that in terms of the types of properties that we have. So going from 7 years from one listing to 2.2, it's fantastic. And so how do we talk about travel when we talk about it in an Airbnb way? Well, we say just do not go there. Don't be a click and go tourist. Go and encourage and live there. And so it's all about living, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But let's watch this quick video now about what the difference is between going and living.
Don't go to Paris. Don't tour Paris. And please don't do Paris. Live in Paris. When you Airbnb in Paris, you have your own home. Make your bed. Cook. You know, the stuff you normally do. Don't go to LA. Don't go to New York. Don't go to Tokyo. Live there. Live in Malibu. Live in the East Village. Live in Shinagawa. Feel at home. Anywhere. Do your regular routine. Wherever you go, don't go there. Live there. Even if it's just for a night.
And actually, just a little fun fact that nobody outside these walls will know is they're all hosts. So we actually use our community and engage our community on many, many different levels. So it's great, and they were we're very grateful for them for helping us do these new campaign. So it's all about traveling versus living. How many people have lived in more than 3 countries? Loads. How many people have traveled in more than 10? Everyone, yeah. So we tend to kind of, we cover the globe, but we travel and we move through at lightning speed, but we don't live. What's the difference between living and traveling? Living means you belong. You feel like when you go to a place that you've really kind of embraced the culture, that you actually belong. And when you feel like you belong, you can be yourself, right? You can mix with the people, you can be yourself, and it's actually through being yourself that you can transform. When we kind of glide through all the areas that we go on our holidays, and we glide through on this mass tourism train, we don't actually change. We literally come back exactly the same. But when you live and you see and you embrace and you really feel in your culture, that's what you guys are providing all the visitors to your homes when they come to Ireland. They walk away like a different person, a richer person, and a person that definitely understands our culture better. So we would say belong, it's about belonging and belonging anywhere, and you've seen that as our mission. We really want to feel, it not mean we're going to just like plaster the globe with this, it means that it's a deep belonging, that we are part of a community, and that you guys are fostering as our key hosts in terms of giving that rich and deep experience. So thank you for sharing your home. Thank you for sharing your world. We really appreciate it. And so now we're going to segue into talking about, we've talked a little bit about the trends and the globe, but we are going to move into focusing on Ireland, and we're going to pass it over now. But before I do, I want to give away one of these signature shirts. So let me see. Let me do it on reviews, okay? So how many of you have more than 30 reviews? Oh, lots. All right, keep your hands up, keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Okay, how many of you have more than 50? That didn't change anything. More than 100? Wow. More than 150? Wow. More than 200? Wow. More than we're here all night, sorry. Schedule's gone. More than 250? More than 300? More, yeah. No cheating now, we'll check. So 300, more, oh, I've only have one hand at 300, 300, 300, 300. Oh, okay, we have a winner. Oh, what are you? Are you Pete from the castle? Ah, somebody told, like, Miss McNamara told me you were coming. Oh, great. So I think we have, what was that again? Oh, 470, guys. Oh my God, give this man a clap. Well done. We'll get you the right size, but check the size and then we'll make sure that it fits, okay? Tá sé go maith.